everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a bit of a special video for my good friends over at Morningstar FX, Morningstar Engineering. They make the amazing MC6 Mark II MIDI controller and actually have just recently added the MC8, which is their flagship MIDI controller. They've taken the MC6 Mark II and expanded its abilities and some new ins and outs, extra switches. It's an amazing product. I don't have one of those yet, but very, very, very impressive stuff. I've known Ben and James over at Morningstar for a while now, and I gotta say they are two of the nicest, smartest people I've met. They're wonderful folks and they make amazing products. Now, I've done a few videos in the past about my Morningstar MC6 Mark II and showed how we could edit and do various things in conjunction with the HX Stomp. I'm also going to today be using it in conjunction with the HX Stomp. That's kind of my area that I work with a lot. So, and I know a lot of HX Stomp folks really utilize the MC6 and the Morningstar MIDI controllers to expand the capabilities of their Stomp. But that's not to say that the MC6 or the MC8 have to be used with a Stomp. They can be used with a wide array. Anything that is MIDI controllable, this is going to be the MIDI controller that you're going to want to get. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to take you through some of the new features that have been recently added with the new firmware updates and the new online editor. Okay, so the folks at Morningstar have an editor that you can download and install onto your computer for both Mac and PC. But they also have a very wonderful system where we can just log into Google Chrome browser. You have to use a Chrome browser. That's the one limitation. And we can just log in and use the browser as our editing software by going to their website, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's dive over to the computer screen here and see what we have. So one thing that I do have up here is I have my Stomp set up, and all I'm using is my factory preset that I've provided for the folks at Line 6, the EJ Dover JS. Again, any of the Podgo, Helix, or Stomp presets that you guys come across with a JS at the end, those are factory presets that I provided for the folks over there. So we're going to see how we can control some of this and expand the abilities of the Stomp by using the MC6. All right, so let's just go over to here. Here we have the MorningstarFX.com, which is their website, and you can see here they have the new MC8, the MC6 Mark II. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over to support, and we're going to go to device editor. Okay, and what that brings us to is right over here where it says device editor, access device editor. I am going to click that, and it opens up another tab in Chrome, and it starts off by saying, here's the new version 1.0.9 editor release, and it only works with firmware version 3.6. So one thing I would suggest is make sure that whether you have an MC6 or an MC8, that you update the firmware and keep them up to date, because they're always adding new features. There's always new wonderful little tidbits being added to these things, and it's well worth doing. I even did a couple videos in the beginning when I first got the MC6 where, silly me, I didn't update the firmware, and I was having some finicky little weird things that I had to have workarounds. I can't remember exactly what it was in the original videos, but there was things I had to do that I shouldn't have had to do. It was really my fault for not updating to the latest firmware, so always be sure you do that. I've just updated mine, or I just made sure mine has been updated to the newest firmware, and it tells you a little bit about the features in this new update. So I could also hit do not show again if I don't want to see that every time I pop onto this. Now, what happens is we get the Morningstar MIDI editor, and up here what we first have to do, obviously I have my MC6 connected to the computer via USB, obviously very important. Otherwise it won't recognize it. So I'm going to hit click to connect. What we have here then are the different banks available to us. We can bank up and down. Okay, so we can select whichever bank, and I have a few things programmed in here. I'll just go up to a clean bank here, and if you notice up here, I'm just banking up and down. What's also going to happen now that I'm connected is I can hit my 6 switches. You guys could probably just see it in the corner here, right? So if I hit button A, button B, these are all empty right now, C, D, and you'll see up here the preset is changing, E and F. So you want to make sure that you've hit your appropriate button before you start assigning anything to where you want it, so it ends up in the button that you want. Okay, so this is kind of cool. So we say, okay, how do we start by connecting this up with our HX Stomp? Now I have a MIDI cable attached to, as maybe you can see here, the MIDI out of my MC6. down to the MIDI input of my stomp, which happens to be down on the floor over here. Now, the problem is you might say, well, how do I make sure that they're talking to one another? Well, the number one thing is we need both of these to be on the same MIDI channel, okay? And you go, well, how do I get there? In the first video, this is one of the first new features I want to show you about what the new Midi Editor has brought to the table. This is one of the most brilliant features I think that the fine folks at Morningstar have implemented, and that is a MIDI dictionary right over here. In the earlier videos that I did for this, I don't know if you remember, but I had a PDF of the stomp manual open to the MIDI page, and I would drag it onto the screen or minimize and maximize it, and I would find the MIDI numbers that I needed to get certain control things. Well, brilliant stroke of genius by the folks at Morningstar. If I click right over here, this tab, and I hit MIDI Dictionary, it says select product. Now, I'm just not gonna have every product under the sun here, but if I scroll down on this, you can see here it says Chase Bliss Audio, a whole bunch of pedals by them, Empress, a wonderful company out of Ottawa, Canada, Eventide, Line 6 HX Stomp, Maris, Source Audio, Strymon. So they've got a lot of the popular pedals, but if I choose HX Stomp, it takes a second, and what it does is it loads up a dictionary for all the MIDI numbers and CC messages that we might need. The other neat thing is it's setting the MIDI channel. It gives you instructions right here. On your HX Stomp, press both page left and page right buttons together, press page, press knob 1 to enter global settings, turn the upper knob to select MIDI tempo, press the page button again until you see MIDI channel, and turn the knob to select your desired MIDI channel. So how great is this? We don't need to go fumbling through the manual. They've put the pertinent information here for us to access right within the editor. Brilliant, brilliant stuff, guys. Awesome, and it's such a time saver. And then below it, we can collapse these menus or expand them. We have all our CC messages that are going to be used to control the stomp. Everything from loopers to tap tempos to turning the tuner screen on and off, controlling snapshots, everything right here that we could possibly need, emulating foot switch 1, foot switch 2, etc., etc. So I'm going to come back to this in a minute, so I can come back over to my preset and say, okay, I know what to do now. Now, before this video, I've already set it up so they're talking to one another. I have MIDI channel 1 on my stomp, MIDI channel. I'm going to make sure I send MIDI channel 1 from whatever preset that I'm designing. So let's say, okay, let's see what we can do here. Let's say first and foremost, I want to maybe control snapshots, okay? We know we have 3 snapshots on the stomp. This preset that I'm using doesn't actually use different snapshots, but you'll still see it switch when I show you how it works. So what we can first start off by doing is I can go up to the short name here and name it whatever I want, but I'm going to call it Snap 1. All right, fair enough. Long name, I'm going to call Snapshot 1, because I don't believe even if I tried to put that in here, yeah, see, I run out of characters pretty quickly. So, but that's okay, because that's what's going to show up on the screen. So the short name is what's going to show up right above each particular button or switch that you are assigning it to. So this is going to show up above preset A. So we look down and we say, oh, that's Snap 1. When I press it for an instant on the screen is going to show the long name or Snapshot 1. So a great feature, wonderful stuff. Okay, so I want this to control Snap 1. So what I need to do is I'm going to go to message 1. Now here's the amazing thing. You can send up to 16 messages at the same time, okay? You can also have a whole bunch of different actions. And if we look at the actions list, we can have no action, which will do nothing. Press, release, long press, release, release all, double tap, release, long double tap, and long double tap, release. I haven't even tried all of these, and that's beyond the scope of this video, but I will try to show a couple of these. But for this, all I want to be able to do is access Snapshot 1. I'm going to click Action. I'm going to say when I press. So when I press preset A or button A on bank 13, what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to do a control change, okay? And let me switch that, and then another line comes up down here that asks me to assign the CC number, the CC value, and the MIDI channel. Great, so we are on MIDI channel 1, we want that. But for Snapshot 1, I need to know which CC number to send to the stomp, and then I need to know which CC value to access Snapshot 1. So let's go back to our MIDI dictionary. We scroll down and we say snapshot 1, and if you notice this column is CC number, and these are the values we need. Snapshot 1 is going to be on CC number 69 with a value of 0. All right? So I come over here and it's this simple. CC number 69, value's already set to 0. That's done. Okay? So if I save the preset, you're going to see it update on your screen on the MC6, and now above my button A it says snap 1. Okay, if I press that, what happens is it shows for an instant the long name snapshot 1. Great. Well, let's maybe take B, and I'll click that. Now this is empty, but now I'm on B. So anything I do here is going to affect the preset for button B. Okay? So I want this to be snap 2. So I'll do a similar thing. Snap 2 under the short name, snapshot 2 under the long name. I'm going to go press. I'm going to say control change. We already know that's going to be control CC number 69, but let's go back to our Midi dictionary. We want snapshot 2 now. So that's going to have the minimum or maximum value. In this case, it's the same value of number 1. So we come back over to edit preset and we do the CC value of 1. I hit save preset. And now the MC6 is updated. I have snap 1 on button A, snap 2 on button B. Well, let's keep going. I'll press button C, and I'm going to do snap 3, long name, snapshot 3. And obviously, I'm just picking what I want to name it. You guys can pick whatever you want, right? Again, when we press control change, 69, and I believe this value was 2, and I'm going to hit save preset. Let's just go check that for sure. But snapshot 3 is a value of 2 with a CC number of 69. See how quickly we can go through this now with the Midi dictionary. I think this is just such a game changer here, and it makes the workflow so much easier. So wonderful job. Well, now what they've also put in here is a Midi monitor, if you look right here at this tab. And what the Midi monitor is going to do is it's going to show us, as we press through the buttons, if the MC6 is sending the proper information out. Now, this is a great troubleshooting tool. Let's say we set something up and it's not working properly. Maybe our HX Stomp isn't reacting the way it is. Well, is the problem with the HX Stomp or is the problem with the MC6? Well, in this case, we can tell that the MC6 is working. So watch what happens if I press button A. We add a line here and it says, okay, at this date and this time, you sent a control change on CC number 69 on channel 1 with a value of 0. If I press the next one, it should have a value of 1 here with the same control change on 69. So this is button B, and sure enough, there it is. And if I press button C, there it is with sending it on 2. So this can allow us to kind of double check and troubleshoot that the MC6 is actually sending the proper data out. Amazing stuff. A couple other features here. Controller backup. We could do an entire backup, and this is brilliant too, of our entire MC6. Let's say we have some very complex MIDI presets set up that we want to, never take a risk of losing. We could decide that I could hit current bank, and it downloads just that bank. And if you notice down here, it downloaded that as a .syx file that I can save on my computer, and I could restore it at any point by using the restore down here, or I could back up all banks. And if you look here, that's going to obviously take a little bit longer. I've hit all banks. Once that completes though, you'll see down here that it will start to download. And there it is, right? So that's a wonderful feature too. We have an edit bank tab as well where we can copy and paste banks and swap banks, which is really handy. Maybe we have a bank that we want to just copy and as a starting point and then tweak after. So wonderful feature again. But first of all, let's go back now and see if what we've done actually works. So I'm going to pull up HX Edit here with Stomp. Now what we should be looking at here is we have snapshot 3 showing right now, but if I press my A button or my A preset on my MC6, that should select snapshot 1. Let's see if it works. There's snapshot 1. Let's see if I press B, snapshot 2, and I press C, snapshot 3. So now I can switch right from here, and if you look on the screen at the same time, snapshot 1, snapshot 2, snapshot 3, snapshot 2, I can move those however I want. So the MC6 is working beautifully with the HX Stomp, and how simple was that? But you know, we got 3 other switches still there. So what happens if we come back and say, okay, well, let's go up and try to recreate some other things just for fun here. So I'll go to preset D or button D, and let's call this tap. Let's go tap tempo, and I'll do the long name tap tempo. And I'm just gonna, again, press action, okay? Now, I don't know what CC number that's on. I'm gonna go back to my MIDI dictionary. I'm gonna scroll down until I find tap tempo. Now, this is interesting. It's CC number 64, but the value has to be between 64 and 127, meaning we can choose any value between that and it's gonna recognize it. Nothing below 64 though, okay? So we're gonna remember that. Tap tempo of 64, or I'm sorry, tap tempo is gonna be CC number of 64, and anything from 64 to 127 for our value that we're controlling, okay? So I come back over here and I say, control change, I'm going to say 64, and I'm going to just choose 64 here as well. Still on MIDI channel 1, I'm going to save that, okay? My MC6 is updated now. Now, let's go back and see if that's worked with HX Stomp. Here's our tempo up here, right? So now, I can, as I click that and do a tap tempo, very smooth and wonderful how I can control the tempo as well, okay? Well, let's try something a little even more interesting now. Let's go back to the MC6 and we'll say on this as well though, and this is what I was showing you, we can send more than one thing happening on a switch, which gets very, very interesting. I could set this also kind of like on the Stomp, the tap tempo, if I long hold it, that it'll access the tuner screen, okay? Now you guys will have to take my word for it that it's working, but I have my Stomp on the floor here. It's not really in a position I can pull it up to let you see it. But if I come here and I say, okay, instead on action of press, let's do long press, okay? And I'm going to now go back to my MIDI dictionary and we'll see tuner screen on off. That's a CC number of 68 and pretty much any value. So I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to say when that happens, I want to control change on number 68 and I can just leave the value as is. I'm going to save the preset, okay? Now, again, if I come down here and I tap tempo, I can still see up in the corner here on the tempo that the tempo is updating as I tap it. Doesn't matter how slow or fast I go, it's going to work beautifully. Now, if I long press this, let me see. There you go. The tuning screen came up on the HX Stomp, just like I want. I long press again, and I'm back to tap tempo. Now the interesting thing, if I long press that, if I long press that, the tuner screen is up. Now if I tap this, watch what happens. I can still, with the tuner screen on, tap tempo, whatever I need into the MC6. And then I long press again, and I've got out of tuner mode. So really interesting stuff in how we can have multiple features on each button. It's really, really cool stuff, okay? Well, let's keep going with that now. Let's go to preset E, which is empty, and let's go back to our Stomp preset. Now, what we have here is we have distortion, we have delay, we have reverb. Let's say we wanted to assign those to foot switches, right? Well, if I go into bypass control or assign here, I can already see that my distortion is assigned to foot switch 1, my delay to foot switch 2, my verb to foot switch 3. Now somebody might say, great, I can just use that on my Stomp, but what if somebody wants to be able to use the Stomp buttons to preset up and down, right? And we also want to have the ability to be able to control our different blocks on and off as well. Is there any way we can do that? Well, let's remember, distortion is on 1, delay is on 2, reverb is on 3, right? So I can get out of that, I'll go back to my editor, and what I can do is I could say, okay, let's start with OD, distortion, okay? And I'll do long name overdrive, and we're going to say, when we press this, and we'll go back to our MIDI dictionary, we want to emulate foot switch 1. So the foot switch 1 is controlling the distortion on off, so we're going to emulate that, which is really interesting because whatever we can assign to foot switch 1, 2, or 3, we can emulate with a button on the MC6 or MC8. Very, very cool stuff and lots of possibilities. Again, beyond the scope of this video to go through all of this, but I'm just giving you guys some ideas. So emulate foot switch 1 is going to be a CC number of 49 with any value. So I come over here and I say control change again, number 49, and I'll just leave the value as such. I'll hit save preset. Let's go back to HX edit. Now when I hit this, let's take a look over here at our overdrive. You should see this turn on and off. Just like that. Okay? Really simple stuff. Now, let's say that we wanted to put our delay on the next switch. Okay, we'll come back over to our editor. And we'll hit the final switch F. Nice thing about the new MC8, 2 extra switches, so even more flexibility, really nice stuff. And we'll put our delay here, and you know, long and short name can be the same, but if I want it to show up on the screen when I switch it, then I can do that. A press again, we're gonna do control change, go back to our MIDI dictionary. You can start to see how important this MIDI dictionary is. Emulates foot switch 2, so that's gonna be CC number of 50 with any other value. So we'll just come in here, 50. Again, these are all on channel 1, right? I save preset, and now I come back over to HX Stomp. Now if I hit button F, watch our delay here, folks. It goes on and off as it should, as I've just programmed it to. Overdrive, on, off. I've got tap tempo working. I've got snapshots, and everything is working just beautifully. So the really interesting thing is, you know, if we run out of buttons, we could simply come down here and choose other types of actions such as double tap, long press, to be able to control different things like maybe turning a different effect on or off or what have you. So really, really flexible unit and really well thought out. I really have to tip my hat to the fine folks at Morningstar. They've really knocked it out of the park with their products. And if you are in need of a MIDI controller, even for an entire pedal board, right, where maybe you have a couple Strymon pedals or a HX Stomp, you can have it control with one button push numerous parameters on different pedals, right, by setting the MIDI channels appropriately, and really incredible stuff. And the MC8 especially, now with the extra buttons, can really be the brain behind your pedal board to control everything effortlessly. Even stuff like, you know, the Rev G20 amp I have is MIDI compatible. This would control it beautifully as well. And maybe I'll do a video in the future with it controlling that also. So I hope that just sort of reminds some of you guys about the amazing products from my friends over at Morningstar. The MC6 and the MC8. The MC8 is their new flagship MIDI controller. Really fabulous stuff. I'm looking forward to trying one of those in the future. And, you know, just a little update on some of the new features that they've incorporated into either the downloadable MIDI editor or the online MIDI editor. I know they say that the online one is the first to get new updates, so that's why they kind of recommend using it, but some people don't have Chrome browser, don't use Chrome browser, and they're maybe not online. They just want to have it on their system. So they've really covered all the bases here, and it's a really excellent product, and really, really happy to call these guys friends. They're amazing fellows, really great guys, and a really great company. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope that was useful and beneficial, and I will be back very soon with some more content. Please like the video, share it with anybody you think would benefit from it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the little notification bell to see when I put new videos out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again, and thank you for the support. I will be back soon with some more content. Ciao for now.